यदुत्तमश्लोकगुणानुवर्णनम् Anyone wants to repeat? Idam hi pumsas tapasah shrutasya va svistasya suktasya cha buddhi dattayoh avichyutordah kavibhir nirupito yaduttama gunanuvarnanam idam hi pumsas tapasah shrutasya va svistasya suktasya cha buddhi dattayoh avichyutordah kavibhir nirupito yaduttama gunanuvarnanam idam hi pumsah tapasah shrutasya va svistasya suktasya cha buddhi dattayoh avichyutordah kavibhir nirupito yaduttama gunanuvarnanam. Okay, please repeat word to word. Idam, this, he, certainly, pumsaha, of everyone, tapasaha, by dint of austerities, shrutasya, by dint of study of the Vedas, va, or svishtasya, sacrifice, suktasya, spiritual education, cha, and buddhi, culture of knowledge, dattayo, charity, avichyutaha, infallible, ardhaha, interest, kavibhihi, by the recognized learned person, nirupitaha, concluded, yat, what, uttama shloka, the Lord who is described by choice poetry, guna anuvarnanam, description of the transcendental qualities of. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Jai Srila Prabhupada. Translation. Learned circles have positively concluded that the infallible purpose of the advancement of knowledge, namely austerities, study of the Vedas, sacrifice, chanting of hymns and charity, culminates in the transcendental descriptions of the Lord, who is defined in choice poetry. Please repeat. Learned circles have positively concluded that the infallible purpose of the advancement of knowledge, namely austerities, study of the Vedas, sacrifice, chanting of hymns and charity, culminates in the transcendental descriptions of the Lord, who is defined in choice poetry. Purport. Human intellect is developed for advancement of learning in art, science, philosophy, physics, chemistry, psychology, economics, politics, etc. By culture of such knowledge, the human society can attain perfection of life. This perfection of life culminates in the realization of the Supreme Being, Vishnu. The Shruti therefore directs that those who are actually advanced in learning should aspire for the service of Lord Vishnu. Unfortunately, persons who are enamored by the external beauty of Vishnu Maya do not understand that culmination of perfection or self-realization depends on Vishnu. Vishnu Maya means sense enjoyment, which is transient and miserable. Those who are entrapped by Vishnu Maya utilize advancement of knowledge for sense enjoyment. Sri Narada Muni has explained that all paraphernalia of the cosmic universe is but an emanation from the Lord out of his different energies, because the Lord has set in motion by his inconceivable energy the actions and reactions of the created manifestation. They have come to be out of his energy and they rest on his energy, and after annihilation they merge into him. Nothing is therefore different from him, but at the same time the Lord is always different from them. When advancement of knowledge is applied in the service of the Lord, the whole process becomes absolute. The personality of Godhead and his transcendental name, fame, glory, etc., are all non different from him. Therefore, all the sages and devotees of the Lord have recommended that the subject matter of art, science, philosophy, physics, chemistry, psychology, and all other branches of knowledge should be wholly and solely applied in the service of the Lord. Art, literature, poetry, painting, etc., may be used in glorifying the Lord. The fiction writers, poets, and celebrated literateurs are generally engaged in writing of sensuous subjects, but if they turn towards the service of the Lord, they can describe the transcendental pastimes of the Lord. Valmiki was a great poet, and similarly, Vyasadeva is a great writer, and both of them have absolutely engaged themselves in delineating the transcendental activities of the Lord, and by doing so have become immortal. Similarly, science and philosophy also should be applied in the service of the Lord. There is no use presenting dry speculative theories for sense gratification. Philosophy and science should be engaged to establish the glory of the Lord. Advanced people are eager to understand the absolute truth through the medium of science. And therefore, a great scientist should endeavor to prove the existence of the Lord on a scientific basis. Similarly, philosophical speculations should be utilized to establish the supreme truth as sentient and all-powerful. Similarly, all other branches of knowledge should always be engaged in the service of the Lord. In the Bhagavad Gita also the same is affirmed. All knowledge not engaged in the service of the Lord is but nescience. Real utilization of advanced knowledge is to establish the glories of the Lord, and that is the real import. Scientific knowledge engaged in the service of the Lord and all similar activities are all factually Hari Kirtana or glorification of the Lord. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport. Om Ajnanatimidandhasya Gnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Iti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Sunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Jai Srila Prabhupada. So this is the instruction of Narada Muni to Vyasadeva. It comes as part of the chapter, Narada's instruction to Vyasadeva on Srimad Bhagavatam. It's a beautiful verse. Idam hi pumsas tapasah shrutasya va svishtasya suktasya cha buddhi dattayo avityutordah kabibhir nirupito yaduttama shloka gunanuvarnanam. So, the purpose of all advanced learning or whatever we engage in, our occupations. The learned circles have positively concluded. Kavibhir nirupito. What have they concluded? Yad uttama shloka gunanuvarnanam. The Lord, who is called Uttama Shloka, who is praised with choicest poetry, to glorify his gunas, his qualities, guna anuvarnanam, that is the avichyuto ardhaha, that is the infallible purpose of all our tapasaha, shrutaha, swishtasya, suktasya, our austerities, our sacrifices, our education, our intelligence, whatever talents we have, the best purpose, the infallible purpose, the avichyuto ardhaha, according to learned circles, is to engage them in glorification of the Lord. So the Lord is being called as Uttama Shloka, or he who is defined in choicest poetry, Uttama Shloka. If you see in Srimad Bhagavatam, the Lord is described in wonderful poetry, beautiful descriptions throughout. You will find in every chapter some wonderful descriptions of the Lord in choicest poetry. Sukadeva Goswami uses. I'll quote one or two examples. One example we can find in the 11th chapter of the first canto, when the Lord comes back from Hastinapura to Dwaraka. The situation of his arrival, how his chariot is coming down the path to Dwaraka, is described like this. Sitatapatra vyajanairupaškrita prasuna varshair abhivarshitah pati pisangavasa vanamalaya babhau ghano yadarko dupachapa vaidyutai. The verse itself is beautiful. If you see the meaning, it is even more beautiful. Sitatapatra vyajanair upashkruta. He is being served like this. He is being decorated like this. Sitatapatra means, Atapatra is umbrella. So Sitatapatra, the umbrella, is protecting him from the sunshine. And there is Vyajana. Vyajana means the fan. The fan is, the white feathered fan is being used to fan him. Sitatapatra vyajanair upashkruta. Prasuna varshair. He is being thrown these beautiful flower petals, beautiful flowers. Prasuna varshair abhivarshitaha. He is being showered with these beautiful flowers on the path while he was coming, Pati. Pisangavasa vanamalaya babho. His clothing is pisangavasa, his yellow clothed garments. And he is decorated with beautiful flower garlands. Vanamalaya babho. And the whole situation appeared like this. Ghano yadha arka udupa chapa vaidyutai. It appeared as if at one time there was the clouds, the sun, the moon, the lightning, and the rainbow. Arka means sun. Udupa means moon. Chapa means rainbow. Vaidyutaha means lightning. So Prabhupada explains this beautiful poetic description. Usually it is not possible to have all of this at one time, isn't it? The sun, moon, the clouds, the rainbow, the lightning. If the sun and moon are there, you will not see this, this lightning. If the rainbow is there, you will not see the lightning. So there is apparent contradiction. But it is poetically described to explain how Krishna can resolve all this contradiction. Everything can exist in Krishna. He is described as a dark cloud. His body is like Shyamasundara. And the umbrella on his head is like described as the sun. And the Vyajana is described as the moon. And his Pisanga Vasa is described as the lightning. And the flowers, Prasuna Varshair, is described as the lightning. The rainbow. So basically, all of these things are possible when there is Krishna present. Ordinarily, it is not possible to imagine that situation. So that is the way the Lord is glorified. Uttama shloka gunanu varnanam. So like that, there are many examples in Srimad Bhagavatam. And I'll give another example of Mukundamala Stotra. It's a beautiful set of verses composed by Kulashekara Acharya. So in one of the verses, he glorifies the Lord as a jewel. Bhaktapaya bhujanga garuda manis trailokya rakshamani. That money, he's glorifying the Lord, he's equating the Lord as a money. What is that money? You'll see. Bhaktapaya bhujanga garuda mani. He is like a jewel on the back of Garuda, taking away devotees on Garuda's wings. Bhaktapaya bhujanga garuda mani. Trailokya rakshamani. He is the money protecting all the three worlds. And he further says, Gopi lochana chataka ambudamani saundarya mudramani. He is like the money compared to like Chataka Ambuda. Like this, there is a bird called Chataka bird who always looks for the cloud, when the cloud will give the rain. So Gopi Lochana Chataka Ambudamani means the Gopi's eyes are compared to like the Chataka bird looking towards the cloud for rain, meaning looking towards Krishna. Therefore he is called Chataka Ambudamani. The Chataka eyes of Gopi Lochana looking for the Ambuda, the cloud of Krishna. Gopi Lochana Chataka Ambudamani Saundarya Mudramani. He is the money, he is the jewel of all beauty. All gracious things, he is the most gracious. Yah Kantamani Rukmini Ghanakuchadvandvaika Bhushamani. Rukmini is being called as the money of all Kantas of Krishna. Yah Kantamani Rukmini Ghanakuchadvandvaika Bhushamani. He is the money that beautifies the ornaments worn by Rukmini. Of all the ornaments, all the possessions of Rukmini, he is the glorious possession. Yah Kantamani Rukmini Ghanakuchadvandvaika Bhushamani Shreyo Deva Shikhamani Dishatuno Gopala Chudamani. So let that money, beautiful money, give me benediction. Ultimate benediction. Shreyo Deva Shikhamani. He is the money of all the Devas. He is the topmost crest jewel of all the Devas. Let him give me benediction. He is the Gopala Chudamani. He is the crest jewel of all these Gopas, the cowherd boys. So like that, Krishna is the epitome. If there is a limit to poetry, that limit finds, or you can go to that limit only with Krishna. Uttama shloka gunanuvarnanam. So, we all have tendency to glorify. All of us. We glorify our, you see in general people, they glorify film stars or politicians or our parents, friends, or our own selves. We like to glorify our own self. Why? Because the tendency is there, the natural propensity to glorify the Supreme Personality of Godhead, it is there. constitutionally. But when it is wrongly portrayed, when it is when it takes the perverted form in this world, we glorify all these personalities. So here Narada Muni is saying, you glorify the Supreme Lord with whatever talents you have, whatever material acquisitions you have, whatever scientific advancement you possess. You glorify the Lord. Like, for example, we see this universe, this most brilliantly formed universe. In fact, one of the arguments the theists they use for existence of God is the sheer beauty and brilliance of the design of this universe. There is a concept called fine-tuning of the universe. Have you heard about it? There are so many constants in the scientific equations. Like, for example, there is something called gravitational constant. And it has to be a particular number. And the gravitational constant is important because if the gravitational constant deviates from the asserted value, the whole universe either would have collapsed when it started in Big Bang, or would have expanded without limitation so that the stars would not form. So the gravitational constant, if it is altered by not 0.1, 0.2, 0.3%, if it is altered by 10 to the power of 60, a small number, 10 to the power of 60, just imagine 10 multiplied by 10 multiplied by 10 multiplied by up to 60 times. If it is altered even by a fraction of 10 to the power of 60, this universe would not exist. So who has designed that? And there is this cosmological constant, which is again important for the formation of life, existence of the universe, planets, everything. That is even more crazier. If it is altered by 10 to the power of 120, the number of cells in the body is only 10 to the power of 13. Trillions of cells. And we are talking about these numbers, these constants, just changing by a fraction of 10 to the power of 120. The life and universe does not exist. The formation of heavier elements, carbon for example, it cannot form if there is no balance of the strong and weak forces in the universe. It has to be exactly precise for the formation of these heavier elements, for the formation of life. So it is easier to say, oh, randomly the universe has been developed so that it has been made possible for life. But if you were to say the chance is 10 to the power of 120 and multiplied by 10 to the power of 60, because every constant you have to multiply these probabilities. Isn't it? Nobody in good conscience would accept that, oh, the universe has been formed out of chance. So a person who is advanced in knowledge should consider all this. How there is an intelligence behind everything. How this intelligence is so great that he has been able to manage these wonderful things manifested in this universe. So the real scientist has to understand the real credit for any scientific advancement is to come to the conclusion of the existence of God and come to the conclusion of glorifying the God, glorifying the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So the scientists now because they have agreed that it cannot be out of chance, but to further their theory of chance, they say that now it is not just one universe, there is a multiple universes being generated from some, magical multiverse generator which is generating these universes. And because there are innumerable number of universes, it is possible that one such universe will have this chance that everything sets into proper place so that there can be life and planets. But then they cannot go back. Who is generating these multiple universes? Yes, agreeing that, yes, what they are saying is true. But who is generating? There has to be somebody generating these multiple universes. And that Srimad Bhagavatam is saying. What Lord Brahma is saying in 10th canto, it's a beautiful verse. Again, a beautiful poetic description of Brahma. When he comes to the senses, that Lord Krishna, the one who he tested in Vrindavan, and who he wanted to bewilder, but he himself got bewildered. So Krishna is the Supreme Personality. How he is praying, let's see. Kvaham tamo mahadaham khacharagni varbhu samvestitanda ghata sapta vitastikaya kvedruk vidha viganitanda paranucharya vatadvaroma vivarasya chate mahitvam. So Brahma is saying, what am I? A small creature measuring 7 spans of my own hand. 7 spans of my own hand means probably this one. Of my own hand. I am enclosed in a pot-like universe composed of material nature. The total material energy, false ego, ether, air, water and earth. And what is your glory? Unlimited universes pass through the pores of your body just as particles of dust pass through the opening of a screened window. That is your glory. So this is Lord Brahma, whose situation, whose intelligence is incomprehensible to us. He is praying to the Supreme Lord like this. So one who is intelligent, Prabhupada encouraged his disciples to research on these Bhagavatam concepts so that they can be explained to the people outside who may not necessarily have faith in these descriptions. So the right usage of your talent, your scientific knowledge is to establish these principles, is to prove these principles, to engage in understanding these principles and glorifying the Lord. So Prabhupada started this Bhaktivedanta Institute, and there were many stalwart scholars who worked on establishing these Bhagavatam concepts. There was one devotee, Sadaputa Prabhu, Prabhupada's disciple. Unfortunately, he left his body in 2008 when he was 61 years. He has done a lot of research on Bhagavatam's cosmology. It's present in 5th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. How he is presented how, of course, he and there were other scientific disciples of Prabhupada. I may not be naming all of them, but there has to be credit given to all of them. They have they have expounded these wonderful concepts hidden in Srimad Bhagavatam, like the distances as known to the modern world in the solar system, the distance between the sun and the earth, the distance between the earth and these planets, Mercury, Venus, Mars, all these distances as explained in Yojanas in Srimad Bhagavatam has been explained, has been corroborated to be the solar system's distances. So they have done extensive research about, there is Sadaputa Prabhu and there is one more devotee, Michael Cremo, Drutakarma Prabhu. They have written a book called Forbidden Archaeology, which goes on to explain that quite in contrast with the modern understanding that human life has started few million years back, the Homo sapiens. Quite contrast to that, the humans have been existing since millions of years back, even before that, along with the other animals and other species. And there is a suppression of these facts to prove the Darwinian philosophy. So they have exposed all these things. So Prabhupada has encouraged all of us, anyone who has whatever talent they have, it should be utilized to further and propagate the right understanding and glorify the Supreme Lord in Krishna consciousness. So one time Prabhupada was in Florida. So there was this, devotees have bought this land in Florida, and this temple president Abhiram Prabhu was explaining to Prabhupada about this farm community and the plans that they were having for the farm community. And at the same time, he was also explaining about this Disney World. So apparently Disney World existed or was planning in those days itself. And he was explaining how they have made this wonderful this place where they can showcase this Maya most brilliantly. And he was explaining all the details. And Prabhupada said, we should also have a Vaikuntha world. Like Disney World, we should name it as a Vaikuntha world, where we can also explain all this. They are explaining Maya, they are propagating Maya. We should explain Krishna and propagate Krishna. So we should engage everyone in glorifying Krishna. Because a project like that requires people from various backgrounds. Advanced engineers, structural engineers, thinkers, even artists. Everyone is required for that kind of project. So you have your farm community, we engage everyone according to Varnashrama. We have Vaikuntha world, we can engage everyone. So like the Prabhupada, he was trying to get everyone to come to this point. There was another instance where he was conversing with a set of lawyers. So these lawyers were favorable to devotees, and they bailed some devotees out from, usually in those days when devotees would go for Harinam Sankirtan, the police would take them inside, and in different places of the world, they would even keep them, file court case, and things like that were happening. So these lawyers were helping the devotees out. And so devotees arranged a meeting with these lawyers and Prabhupada. And Prabhupada commended their activity. You are a lawyer by profession, and by your profession, you thought by these devotees getting obstructed, the glorification of Krishna is being stopped. So let me help them out so that the glorification of Krishna can be continued. Therefore, your profession is being used for the glorification of Krishna. And that is the success of your profession. That is the success of your profession. There was another instance where a scientist, she was very intent on proving life after death. And many scientists actually have an inner feeling. They cannot prove it, but they know it for sure, but there is life after death. Those who have worked on it for a long term, they can easily say that there is life after death. And they can easily say that there is something beyond this material body who is driving this body. There is a scientist called Penn, William Penn, or I forget the actual name, neurologist. He has proved with his experiments that there is something beyond this body which is driving this body the way it is working. Because according to scientific theory, the consciousness is nothing but, it's a product of our material elements. It comes into being, and when body dies, it just dissipates. There is nothing like a spirit soul different from the body. Because the moment they say there is spirit soul, they have to define what it is. They won't take the scriptural statements of Bhagavad Gita. They have to rely on their empirical, experimental knowledge. So they deny it. But this person has proved, he's basically done an experiment over years, decades, where he has put this equipment on the brains of these individuals, where he would pass commands and the person would lift his hands and do various things. And then he would ask, have you asked your hand to lift? He said, no, 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 I didn't ask. And somebody, that means it is happening, the body is just like a machine. And somebody else could come and take use of this machine, can send the signals to the brain, and the body can act. So there is spirit soul sending the signals to the brain, using its free will to direct the brain, intelligence, mind, and the senses to act. So if one can utilize their scientific understanding to propagate this Krishna consciousness, the glory of Krishna, how Krishna is wonderful, you can use your knowledge to research into how the universe came about, as described in the first and second and third cantos. It's mind-boggling, just mind-boggling. How the Supreme Lord Mahavishnu, he lies on this causal ocean and breathes out innumerable universes. He glances at this dormant material nature. It agitates. The so-called Big Bang is nothing but the agitation caused by Mahavishnu. So all these things, there is volumes of literature if one wants to satisfy their intellectual propensity. And in third canto there is description of how intricately it is described how this embryo, the life when it starts in the womb of the mother, different stages right from the beginning of conception, how the spirit soul enters karmana daiva netrena, and then how it develops into a pea like formation, and then it gradually grows. Every month the sequence is explained, and a doctor can read and understand how it is wonderfully described, and they can use their abilities to explain and glorify the Supreme Lord's wonderful creation. So Prabhupada also said, if your knowledge, in the purport itself we read, if your knowledge, so-called knowledge, is not being used to derive the ultimate conclusion about the existence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and to glorify the Supreme Personality of Godhead, then it is not called knowledge, it is nescience. Bhagavat bhakti hinasya jati shastras japas tapaha apranasya hi dehasya mandanam lokaranjanam. You may have advanced knowledge. You may be born in the most civilized nation. Very good background academically, materially. Jati shastra japas tapaha. But Bhagavat bhakti hinasya, if you are devoid of belief in the existence and devoid of bhakti to the Supreme Lord, Bhagavat bhakti hinasya jati shastra japas tapaha. What is the use of all these things? Apranasya hi dehasya mandanam lokaranjanam. It is like decorations of dead body. If you decorate nicely the dead body, is there any meaning to it? And the people, after passing away, the person, they decorate nicely. Oh, he's been a great person. Let me decorate nicely. That may cause some happiness among some inferior people. Mandanam lokaranjanam. Some people may become happy by looking at decoration of dead body. But what is the use? It's after all a dead matter. Nobody bothers. So Prabhupada, how does it, what does it mean for devotees? Do we have to become like scientists? Or do we have to learn something extraordinary to prove these statements of scriptures? Prabhupada said in multiple letters he wrote, no, 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 you don't have to do anything extraneous. Whatever talents you have, or whatever ordinary talents you have, ordinary skills you have, you may not have extraordinary talents like George Harrison did. He tried to glorify the Lord with his songs. Or Sadaputa Prabhu, Drutakarma Prabhu, they were scientifically, Bhakti Swarup Damodar Swami, they were scientifically inclined. In that sense, they had a special talent, a niche area. You may not have any of this. But by engaging in devotional service of the Lord, that is good enough. That is supposed to be perfection of your occupation. Perfection of your occupation. Atah pumbir dvijasreshta varnashrama vibhagashaha swanusthitasya dharmasya samsiddhir haritoshanam. Whatever engagement you have, you may be engaged as a Brahmana, or a Kshatriya, or a Vaishya, or a Sudra. Any service you may have, if you do it nicely for the pleasure of the Lord, that is supposed to be Haritoshanam. That is the perfection of your occupation. So Prabhupada got many letters many times from devotees. Prabhupada, can I learn a Spanish language so that I can go to Spain and preach, or Mexico and preach? Prabhupada said, no, 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 you don't require. If you already have something, you can hone that skill. But if you don't have something, you don't have to extraneously put a lot of endeavor. You have to join something, cultivate that which you don't have, because that takes away a lot of your time and energy away from Krishna. It's not required. Whatever talent you have, utilize. One time a Mataji asked Prabhupada, according to Vedic system, perfection of a womanly engagement is to serve the husband and take care of the home. So should I do that? So Prabhupada said, I see you have writing talent. You don't need to confine yourself to home. You can use your writing talent to write articles in Krishna consciousness, to edit the articles for our magazine. In that way, you can help in propagating Krishna consciousness. So the perfection, as Prabhupada defined, was not stereotyped. It was how you engage in service of the Lord, in glorification of the Lord. That defines the perfection of your occupation or talent or engagement. If you don't come to that point, whatever you do it's like they say, Shrama eva hi kevalam. That tatah kim. What is that? No, this not guru. What is the use of austerities and penances if you don't come to the platform of Krishna consciousness? Huh? Yeah. Tapasa tatah kim. Yes. So the point is, you come to the Krishna consciousness, then everything is said to be perfect. But if you don't come, whatever you do is considered to be futile. So I'll stop here. Any other questions, comments on what we discussed? Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. No, he utilizes fire also, no? No, fire as an element is separate. Fire is, see, earth contains everything. When the beginning of creation, the sound is the beginning of creation, right? From sound comes all the other senses, all the other, you know, bhumi rapo analo vayu kam. Kam means ether. Sound, from sound comes ether, which is the element which propagates sound. And bhumi rapo analo vayu kam. Vayu is air. From air, again, there is fire. Like when there is strong wind, there is fire generated. And from fire, there is water, and then there is earth. So, like that, the sequence is mentioned in Srimad Bhagavad. And then the last element, earth, contains all the other elements. And then the fire contains all the previous elements. The water contains all the previous elements. Fire contains the previous elements. Like that, every element that is generated contains the previous elements. That doesn't mean that the previous elements by themselves don't exist. They also exist. But earth contains all the previous elements. So if you utilize earth, in one sense you are utilizing everything. But in other planets, whatever elements are there, they use that in service of the Lord. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says he went to the sun planet also. So he was visible to them in the form that they can comprehend. And they would worship the Lord in paraphernalia predominantly made of fire. So, yeah, it's because, yeah.
So it is in the sun planet. For them, it will be like Krishna is present in Golok Vrindavan in the form of fire.
No, Krishna can make his presence felt as he is in wherever place he goes. Wherever place he goes. So that is Krishna's special prerogative. And the devotees can understand that Krishna can manifest as he is. So they have that understanding. Krishna can appear like as he is in every planet. But the worship they do to Krishna is based on the elements that they have in abundance there.
Cows, they are present in Golok Vrindavan.
Mm-hmm.
And here also we see Krishna is taking which is present in this earth, and we also hear that cows are present in Golok. Why he is not taking some other elements from different universes? Cows may not exist in different universes.
No, they exist in different universes. Like the sun god is said to be riding on his horses, isn't it? So that does it mean the horses are not there in sun planet? They are. So the living entities may exist, but in a different form, in different planets. Their ability to withstand heat is much more in that planet, in that form that they have. Yeah.
Once we get liberated, after the liberation, so we reach Golok Vrindavan. So the gross body, subtle body will not be present, right? Only the soul travels.
Hmm.
So the soul, after reaching the Golok Vrindavan, for serving Lord, do we get another external body, or the soul itself is having a body to serve Krishna?
Yeah, the soul itself is the body. The soul itself has a form, Sachidananda Vigraha. So we have a form which is covered by these subtle and gross bodies. Yeah, so the question is, when we go back to Godhead, to Goloka Vrindavan, do we go with we get rid of our material and subtle bodies, and our spirit soul goes there. So we acquire another body there, or our soul itself is a body, spiritual body. That's the question. The answer is yes, the soul itself is a spiritual body. Our Sachidananda Swarupa is there, which is covered by this subtle and gross bodies. When we become liberated, we realize our Swarupa, and we go in that Swarupa to Goloka.
So it has the soul expands too, because we hear always it's very small, tiny spark.
Yeah, see, The tiny spark, which is explained like 1/10,000th of the tip of the hair, it is to be understood like this to explain that it is inconceivable to our material senses. First of all, you cannot even conceive what is the tip of the hair. Right? There is no, the point has no dimension. So, what is 1/10,000th of that? There is no dimension. The point is to show that it is inconceivable with your senses to understand the spirit soul. You cannot see it. So you cannot use your material dimensions to measure the soul. The soul exists in spiritual dimension with a body. So for that matter, the whole Goloka Vrindavan, it is unlimitedly expanding everywhere, is there in our Earth planet in the 84 square miles area. So it is incomprehensible. For our vision, the Supreme Lord manifests His whole place in a particular form and shape. So we can see with our eyes. But it doesn't mean that it is a limiting factor on the spiritual planet. So it is for our understanding, a replica is made because we cannot conceive. You go and stand inside a big building, in front of a big building, you cannot conceive the extent of the building. So a replica is made so that you can see the whole of this inside, outside, the surroundings, everything. So that is just to make us understand on a material platform. But the soul has form and shape on the spiritual dimension, and that is inconceivable to us if you apply your material dimension logic. Yes, Prabhu. Yeah. Mm. Yeah. Hmm. Mhm. Yeah. So your question, if I understand right, the point mentioned in Bhagavatam that if you do not come to the point of Krishna consciousness with your occupation, you are said to be wasting your time. And so your question is, Krishna also says in Bhagavad Gita, Yat karoshi yadasnasi, whatever you do it as an offering to me. Yes, it does. In 12th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna clarifies more. It is best if you can always think of me. Mayeva mana adhatsva, mayi buddhim niveshaya. But if you cannot, at least make a practice to think of me few times in a day. Like 2 hours, chanting 16 rounds. Or if you cannot do that, give up your results to me. Yat karoshi yadasnasi yad juhosi. So the best is utilize all your engagement and talent directly in the service of the Lord. But if you cannot do that, by your occupation, whatever you are earning, you give it to the Lord. So like that he explains in 12th chapter also. Without expecting the result. Again, there are gradations to that. Nishkama karma yoga, sakama karma yoga. So there is karma mishrama bhakti, gnana mishrama bhakti. There are all gradations are there. So it is, when you are in Krishna consciousness, it is not either 0 or 1. There are many gradations. You can gradually progress. You may be in 0.5 or 0.3. You can gradually aspire to go gradually to 1, where you are completely engaged in thinking of the Lord. Whatever you do, it is for the Lord. Whatever you earn, it is for the Lord. So, okay, Hare Krishna. Okay, last one. Yeah. The name of the book? The Forbidden Archaeology. Forbidden Archaeology. कंदराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय, जगत गुरु शिला प्रभुपाद की जय, निताई गौर प्रेमानंदे, हरि हरि बोल।